Yeah, so I will, before we go to the next section, I will briefly go through certain things that raised certain questions. Let me come back to that. Yes. So we show that pizza box thing in the beginning. So each of these pizza boxes, they have something like this. Oh, sorry. Uh, a motherboard inside. So each of these have a place for two processors and some memory, and then they have access to hard drives. So like we could sort of like simply say that one calculation would need one task. Okay. For that, to explain that a little bit, I will run like a small job that will explain this a little bit more. Before that, I had to because I told you in the beginning that we don't run jobs on the compute node. Let's say that in this situation, for example, I want to demonstrate something about a small job, but I don't want to go through the process of creating a job. Then what you could do is use something like something called an interactive job. That's also mentioned in the material, the details, but I will type on my terminal now. What I'm going to type is mentioned at the bottom of this page, which starts with working with the scheduler. And other type, yes, a simple job. For example, the same thing I did before, I could run this on a compute node. For example, I had this job that I ran like many times, chmod plus x. So by the way, I have uploaded the example job now to the GitHub. So I said if it's a big job, don't do this. But let's say if you want to, if you don't want to go to a job script, you can use a command called srun. Then you could specify the same things, mem 1g and account. So if you remember, I typed account before as the first thing, but it doesn't matter the order. Only thing is that you have to mention all this information. Then you need time. Let's say 1 minute. So the how to specify time, more details are there. So if it is 1 minute, it's like this. If it is 1 hour, let's say 2 hours, 1 minute like this. If it is days, it's like this: 1 day, 2 hours, 1 minute. So the details of this is there in the documentation that I showed you earlier. Then you could say that host name. For example, to find the what's the host name is, the exactly what was doing in the example job, so it will print. Or you could type example. Let me check whether I have things inside the example job. Example job. Yeah. So because I have mentioned these things, I'm going to remove those. You could, of course, create a new file if you want. Then I could give this example job here, and it will run that for us. So that is like if you want to do something without creating a creating a job script. So at the same time, so I'm going to when this is running, you could also have access to a compute node, let's say for an hour, so that you want to do something. For that, instead of srun, you could use the command salloc. So this will give you, so at the end, we don't specify the job here. So instead we say, we want 15 minutes of compute time on a compute node in an interactive way. Then it will wait for a while. And if you notice here, it's a login node, then it will wait for a while in the queue. The queue manager is finding the best allocation for you. Then it will give access to a compute node that you could do a heavy compilation, for example. That is something I missed in the previous example. To wait. And now if you see here, the host name is printed here. So while that happens, I could also ask from let's open another terminal. So I asked this for 15 minutes. Let's say I can ask the queue manager how the status of my job is. So it's running. Let's say I want to cancel this, but this is an interactive job. You could type exit and you can go out. There's a command called cancel if you want to cancel a job with a job ID. And you can see that it canceled. So this is more visible, the cancellation. But if it is a job that you submit, it will also cancel, and it will go to a state where that it copies files, for example, and then it will end gracefully. So that is another command that is cancel, to cancel your jobs. That was mentioned before, but not I didn't I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So I came all the way out of Saga now. I have to log in again. SSH, my name, and then I type my password. Yes. When you have an interactive job, it's also important to keep a sort of let's say if you get disconnected, to way to come back. More details about it is in the material.
Sabry, may I interrupt you? There is a raised hand.
Okay, please, yeah, go ahead. Ask.
Yes, there is a question. I'm sorry, in the chat that I'm interested in hearing the answer to. Is I don't understand the difference between srun and salloc.
That's a very good question, actually. So you could actually use srun as well here for an interactive job. Let me have some more space here. So srun, you could ask for an interactive job as well. Okay, pty bash. I think yes, you could specify certain like ask for a bash shell using srun as well. But on our systems, there's a reason that it's configured in the newer SERM versions. Instead of srun, salloc is recommended. The reason for that is explained in the interactive jobs help page, where it says why we use salloc on Saga and from, and older like on Betsy why we use srun, and different parameters that you could use, and something very important also like graphical interface, and something important that, let's say if you use your Wi-Fi while your allocation is or get disconnected, how to keep a connection live using a command called a program called tmux. And all this information, additional things to what I introduced, are already described in this documentation page, which you could find from the HackMD.
Okay, so like what I'm hearing is like srun is for interactive jobs, while salloc is not.
salloc is for interactive jobs. Srun is to run something once and forget about it.
Oh, okay.
If you want to run something on a compute node and stop, srun. If you want to do some interactive work on a compute node, salloc.
Thank you.
On Saga and from, yes. Next, we will move on to software. While that, before I end after the software and before I go to transferring file, someone please remind me to talk about this end task. Something I forgot before. Yes. Then we go to software. So this accessing software, let's say I'm on Saga now. We have a module system for software. Let's say if I want to use a software called R, a statistics software. If I go and try to start it, it will say it's not found. That's because we use the module system for the software. So the software installed and configured, but not at your disposal when you log in. So this way we can provide multiple versions of the software at the same time, and people can select and pick what they want to use. So if I want to use R in this example, so all the commands I'm going to type are here in the teaching material as well. I will follow as closely as possible for this material that already described, but I'm going to do it on the terminal. There's a command called module avail R, so you can mention that, but yeah, it's okay, just mention that like that, but then we'll get a lot of things which has R in it. So instead of, I'm going to say R version 4, what do I have for that? Then it will search and it tells me, for example, this one, R 4.1 is there. Then after finding that software using module avail, right, I'm going to use the command called module load, this name, exactly it is. So I'm going to load that module. And it will load. So when it's loading, this module system, it will load not only R, but other modules which need the supporting modules that need to run R. So if you ask module list, so this module avail, module load, and module list is there in the teaching material. You could have a look. If I type that, it will give me a lot of things that are needed that you don't have to worry about loading. Everything you need, for example, the MPI that I'll slightly talk at the end, and even Python is loaded. So everything that needed to run R and other libraries are already loaded, Java and other things. So while this is loaded, I will show you one more thing. So if you remember, I asked module level R, so it had multiple versions. I specifically loaded this version, so I'm going to ask the version here. So it's a little bit slow login 1, so I should have actually used another login node, but that's okay now for the time being, because probably some user is running a job, a big job on the login node, which you are not supposed to do. Then if you see printed here, but let's say you want another version, and if you try to load that one, module load, let's say 4, this one, for example, it will say something like, let's wait for the error, exact error. It unloaded the previous one and it loaded that. The new one, let's say ask the R version now. little bit slower. Come on. Okay. With this 410. Okay. So what it says, your site prevented automatic swapping of the module with the same name. So which means that I have already loaded a module that's already there. But if I try to load another one, it prevents that. So if that happens, you have to use a module purge, which is to clear everything that you loaded. I will show the module list first. Module list. So while this goes on, I'm going, okay. Then I use the module purge to clear everything. Then I ask module list to see what's there. As you see, there's no modules. Then you can use the other version that you wanted to load. While that going on, I'm going to open another terminal to Saga because it's too slow. Yeah. So now after this loaded, you will have the other version. So the message here is the module system. You load what you need, and when you want to load something else, you would clear it unless it is something that you want to use in combination. If you have specific questions about that module way of loading the software, please go ahead and ask in your HackMD. And you may try to load and see modules as well. So when you load the modules, what actually happens is this module load system brings all your needed software to the path. So there's this path variable. So if you go and see here, you will find all the binaries that are needed. So the R and R script are there. So this module system, it modifies the path, the terminal that you are running. So you'll have access to the software that you explicitly asked for. Is there any specific questions about module loading? And you have to worry about, you have to make sure that you use the correct module when you load, and when you want to reproduce it. Let's say if a colleague want to reproduce your job script, when you give it to another person, so that if they use the same module system, same module version, it's easy to compare results. So, and once installed, it will remain in the cluster. So if you use older module, then you could reload it so it doesn't disappear. So for example, Python module avail Python, for example, Python 3. So you have multiple versions of Python, and you could use the specific versions for your results, and you can always load that module to make sure that it's consistent. Is there any question that I should worry about?
All look okay on HackMD.
Okay. Then I will go to transferring files. For this, I'm going to use 2 terminals, which would make more sense, I think. Okay. So this is Saga. So for transferring files, we could use the login node. We don't have to go for the compute node actually. So this is my laptop. So now what we're going to see is how we could transfer files back and forth from the cluster and to the cluster and from the cluster to our laptop. For this, I have this example file that I will use. The same file in the teaching material. So here under the section transferring files, which is actually the fifth topic that we're going to talk, I'm going to use these commands on the terminal, and you may type along and see you can get the same things. I'm going to create a folder on Saga data, for example. Right? Then I'm going to go change into that directory, and there are no files. And I want to get this file from the internet. So get files from the internet, you could use the command curl as mentioned in the teaching material, or the command wget. So the wget is the command that you're going to get files from internet to a local computer. Then you paste the link. So this is an example file. So this could be like a genome file from an FTP site, or some data from a remote site, which is hosted on internet. Then you press enter. And after pressing enter, you will see that because this is a small file, it's landed on Saga. So you could directly get it. So this I did on the login node. The next one is from my laptop. I'm going to create a folder called Saga. And here I'm going to create a file that I want to send to Saga. For that, I'm going to use a command scp. Before that, I need some files. In order to create a more sort of a sensible file, I'm going to create a file with the date as the content from laptop.txt. I could also type hostname. These are the commands we had a look, but the date is a new command. But you can create a file with whatever you want. Okay, hostname is not going to be in that way. Okay, let's try this one.
It's actually misspelled.
Host. Thank you. Okay, that's very good. Then you will see a file like this. So the name of my laptop, the date is there. So I want to send this file to this place on Saga. To that, I need to find out with the command called pwd, present working directory, to find out where I should send it. So the way to send it is scp. We use the command. I'm going to clear this first because I get some more space. So I have this file which I want to send to Saga. scp. I would type the name from laptop. Then I would type my username on Saga. Then saga.sigma2.no, which you typed when you are typing the SSH command, if you remember. Then a colon, and then this path. So if you see here, there are no files yet. Okay, there's one file. That's the one I downloaded before, not this file. So now what I'm going to say is copy this file from my laptop to Saga. Then it will ask for my password. then it will send the file. It will give you some estimate, and if you see here, it would have been on Saga. Then I can give that file there. So the next thing, okay, just try it on your. I'll give about some time for you to try it, and let us know if you face any issues. So this is to send a file from your laptop to Saga.
Please use the green reaction when you finish. So
So if you have done it, or if you are okay with it, that you know how to do it, give us an indication so we can move forward.
is any issues with this? Please let us know. Otherwise, Sabry, are you watching the reactions? Yeah.
Yes, but I don't see much reactions like positive or negative.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for me to judge.
Yeah,
So I will.
saw
Yeah.
15 positive. So
Okay.
no
So then
negative.
okay. So we'll move on. So the next one is to move a file from Saga to the laptop, the opposite. So I'm going to use the same command I issued to create a file. Hopefully this is the correct spellings. Right. Okay, sorry, I use the I say from Saga .txt, right? From Saga .txt, cat from Saga. So now it says login.saga, and that file is not here yet. So the trick here is, like if you remember, to send a file from laptop to Saga, I use this command from my laptop. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to use the command from our laptop, not from Saga, right? Because Saga does not know, like it's difficult for us to mention our laptop's host name in a consistent way. So but the Saga's host name is consistent. So what we're going to do is I'm going to delete this file here. and I'm going to mention that there's a file in Saga that you should know, right? You should go to Saga and find get the file name. There's a file name here. There's a file under my username at this location on Saga. Please bring it down to my laptop. This dot means the current place. Then it'll ask for the password. And it'll get it down. Right now I have the file from Saga, so it'll to make sure that is the exact file. So that's on Saga. So when we sending file to Saga and to downloading from file Saga, we always do the SCP command. We issue the command from our laptop, not from Saga. But there might be cases that you have to use the command SCP or even Rsync, as explained later on this chapter, or from Saga to get some files from a remote location that you have like a static address, like a place where the host name doesn't change or the IP doesn't change. So if you know the static place that you could get the files from, you could get it there as well. But when you're transferring from laptop, it's always the command SCP issued from your laptop, not from Saga. Any questions regarding that file transfer? So the same thing you could do with.
Sorry, could you show the commands again? Because I was still typing.
Yeah. So if you miss this, if you miss the commands, it's there on the teaching material.
Okay.
You could always,
or just the last five from the history.
From on Saga on my laptop.
On your own laptop when you retrieve
Okay.
the file. When you retrieve the file.
I use this one to retrieve, and to send I use this one. Is that okay?
Thank you.
And remember this full stop or a dot at the end, or you could mention another file name for that instead of that as well. Next I will okay, I'll give you like a, so is the next break in another 15 minutes, Dania, or is it 10?
At 11. So
Yeah.
you have to almost 20 minutes.
Next I will use another command for the same thing, and I will show you the slight difference. So this, don't try to type along, because some commands I'm going to use might not make sense for you to generate the file, because I'm going to create a big file for demonstration purposes. So this is just for watching, not to type along. Let me create a random file. With about 500 megabytes maybe. Yes. So this, I'm going to demonstrate some slight difference between this SCP and another command called Rsync, which is explained in the teaching material. So I have a slightly bigger file now. So I'm going to get it down with SCP from Saga, but I called it now big file, and it'll ask for a password. It'll bring down the file. Hope it goes faster. Yeah, about 15 seconds. Yes. Now let's say if you modify this file or change it. If you issue the same command again, it will download the file again. If you had done some modifications locally, it would disappear. So that you have to make sure that when you're doing this SCP command. If you do it over and over again, it will again download the entire thing. For that, we have a command called Rsync, which is slightly advanced than this. The format is more or less the same. So if I issue the command instead of SCP Rsync, like without changing anything, you could of course specify some parameters like, let's say, progress, just to see in a human, but you don't need this, but some additional things for you to show. It again asks for the password, right? If you see that it took about 17 seconds here, it will still, it was little faster. If you see that it just downloaded it, but if I do it again, did I type the wrong password? Let's see. It will do that as well. So let me modify that file a little bit. I'm going to create something, add some random things to it. The same file, but then I ask to download it again. Now it will take slightly longer than before. The thing is, Rsync, before it downloads, it checks the source and target files and see, and if it's not modified, it will not copy. So that's the advantage. So you have like a large number of files that you want to copy from one place to another. Rsync is better than SCP because it doesn't copy unless it's modified. So that's the message. Okay. Now, as we have some about 14 minutes, I'm going to demonstrate certain things which would help you to understand the later on sessions, like optimal resource usage, for example. Let me resize this a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to show you certain errors that you could get and the reasons. So if you remember that I had this, okay, I'm going to use a different text editor now. So, but I was using Nano before. So let me go to Nano, because I'm not that used to Nano, but it's more convenient for people who are starting up.
You have used Vim before.
Have I?
Here are the course. Yes, yes.
Okay, then I will.
You can use it again.
Yes, so I'm sorry about that, because it's more convenient when I'm using something. Example job. If you remember this one, I just printed the host name. So here I'm going to ask the job, before it prints the host name, I'm going to ask the job to sleep for 120 seconds. So this sort of simulates a job that takes 2 minutes, right? And then I'm going to inform S batch. So this is I'm going to inform my account. Oops. Account is NN9987K, and I'm going to inform that I want one core that will I'll try to explain a little bit Then I'm going to ask mem 1 GB, and more importantly, I'm going to ask time only 1 minute. Anything else? No, I don't need that one. So I'm going to ask 1 minute for a job that supposed to take 2 minutes. Let's see what happens. So this is job. I'm going to submit it, and I'm going to use the SQ command to see what's going on. So it's pending. I'm going to use a command called watch to continuously update the SQ. So it's running. So now it will run, and let's see what's happened, because I think it's okay to slow down a bit, a minute before we go to the next thing. So I'll just let it run for the minute, and during that, please go and update the HackMD, ask for questions, and if you want to open the mic, please go ahead with that as well. So now I see a job that runs. Now it has completed 31 seconds. Anything else our colleagues want to mention about the things we discuss, because this job going to take about 2 minutes? Any questions up to now? Okay, no, okay, now we are reaching the job limit. Okay, it's going more. Okay, it just disappeared after 1 minute, but let's see what happened. Let's see whether it has created any log files. There's a log file created here. I'm going to have a look. It says this script is running on this node and all, and it was cancelled at certain time. So you will find that if you ask less time than your job will take, as briefly mentioned before, it will be cancelled, and you will lose the results, your 1 minute that you spend. But if, let's say if it's something that take 3 days and you only ask two days, then 2 days worth of work would be lost. So that is one thing. Then while the job is running, instead of next job I'll show you, there's another command. So after the job has ended, we can use a command called sarchive to get more details about this job. One of our colleagues, please place that message on the HackMD. It says cancelled. So you will see these sort of messages. Next thing I'm going to do is to okay, I will modify the same example job. Here I will okay, here I will ask for 1 GB of memory, and I will try to consume more. Let's see if I consume more memory than I asked, what would happen. Let me copy that command I typed before, so it's easier. Where did I type it? Okay, let's construct it here. Some random numbers, urandom, to send it to memory. positive 4. Let me check. What was the command I used before? It's if and off. So I'm going to create, I'm going to occupy. So don't worry about this command as per se. So what this command do is it's going to occupy 2 gigabytes of memory using random numbers. Imagine that this is a program that you're going to run. I will give it about 10 minutes. And let's see, I'm going to remove the earlier log file and see whether this will run. Okay. This is to show another error. While it is running, you can use the command as control show job with the job ID to get more details about the job. Please, colleagues, please place this in the HackMD as well. So it will tell you your user ID. Here it says it's completed even. It took one core, and let's see the status. Maybe it just completed. I typed the wrong command maybe. Let's see. Let's see the, okay, it's a directory. Okay, one of our colleagues, can you find out that command that I used before for filling memory? Let's see if I have noted down somewhere. What I want to show is if you ask for more memory than that, if you ask less memory than you actually use, that your job will fail as well.
Yeah, Sabry, I can comment on that. So
Yes.
I will say more about that tomorrow.
Okay.
The reason why you don't see anything is because it measures every 30 seconds. So if your job is shorter than 30 seconds, LAN doesn't really see it.
Okay. Very good point. So then, Radovan, would you be talking more about this?
Yeah. So we can continue tomorrow, because I will show basically this, like how can we find out how much memory a job really consumes.
Okay.
But if you want to see a number, then let it sleep for 35 seconds, and then you will see
35 seconds. Okay, let's see 35 seconds then.
But you need to add the sleeping thing. Yeah.
35 is enough?
Yes, 35 is enough.
Sleep. Okay, so that's all. I was doing this two extra things just to show you, because some commands I forgot, and to show you some errors that you might encounter. So if the job is too short, even sometimes you don't get what you want. So we'll have this running for 1 minute, but I gave 10 minutes, but it should fail before that, I think. Let's see. Please go ahead and ask more questions. I'm not going to introduce more new things further. So there are more links in the teaching material and also on the HackMD that you could follow. Any of our colleagues, is there anything that you want to mention here?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the questions. There are so many interesting questions, and I think we have answered all of them. So there is a lot there, which can be, I think, also interesting to read after the course.
Okay, so we will be archiving them somewhere accessible, I think. Okay, so here we get this memory. So thank you, Radhavan, for that extra tip about we need at least 30 seconds to get some error out of it. It's set out of memory here. So if I ask that, probably Radhavan would talk more about it. Slurm will kill if you ask more, if you try to consume more memory than you ask. So you have to be careful how much time you ask, how much memory you ask, and how many tasks that you anticipate to use. So if you try to use more than that, Slurm will terminate, because Slurm use fair usage to estimate the time and the resources that need to keep the queue short as possible. So if you try to use more than something that you actually ask for, then it's unfair for the others. Okay, Dania, please.
Wait, Sabry, yeah, put that file up again. This is very, very important for all who are using the system, because read this file very carefully several times before submitting an RT, because most of the RTs, well, not most of them, but many RTs can be easily avoided by reading this file. As you now saw, you could have why did it stop and where did it stop. So there's a lot of information here that you could convey into the RT ticket when you submit one. So please read this file carefully before submitting an RT. Thank you.
Thank you, Ule.
Yes,
RT means when you send support request to our support system. So
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Can we have a break now, Sabry?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have a break for 10 minutes and we will resume at 11 minutes past 11.